Hey guys, Troy here, back with another video today. We have a fun one today. We're going to be talking about basketball cards again and talking about 4 players who I think are prime, buy the dip, buy low, buy cheap type candidates. I haven't been buying too much basketball over the past couple months, but I said it. I feel like there is an opportunity here now with the playoffs coming up, with the market heating up, and I said, I'm going to bring some players who I think might be interesting, and that's exactly what I'm doing today. So with that being said, no more wasted time. Let's get into it. The first player is a player you've probably heard a lot about for a long time, but I'd imagine in the last month or two, even 3 months, you've probably hardly heard about him at all. And that player is Ja Morant. Now, Ja Morant is coming off an injury, albeit a minor one. It was just a sprained ankle. And I think some people might have expected him to take a huge jump in his second season. And he was kind of primed to take that. He was playing really well at the beginning of the season. His prices were up a ton. And then it seems like that injury just kind of derailed the momentum he's had. And especially right after the injury, he was having, 10-point games, 12-point games, not what we had come to expect from Ja Morant. And there was definitely some disappointment there. And his card prices certainly have reflected that. His prices, at least for his Prism base PSA 10, which I understand has gotten hit harder than most cards, but that card is now cheaper than it was before the bubble last year. So that's crazy, and it shows you how far this card has come down. Now, I'm not going to waste too much time explaining the type of player Ja Morant is, because we all know it by now. He is a legit number one, something I always preach all the time of players that you're going to invest in for the most part. You want them to be legit number one stars. Maybe he's not completely there yet, but he undoubtedly has that potential. Basketball IQ, athleticism, star appeal, making his teammates better. He does practically everything you would want out of a player. And his team isn't great, but the Grizzlies are in the 8th seed. I believe they're 2 games up right now. At the very least, they should be in the play-in game. So he will get some eyes on him. He'll have an opportunity to have some moments. And I think as a result of that, we could see his prices rise. And now, hey, the counterpoint may be, I've heard a lot of people say, am I really going to invest in these guys who aren't going to have, playoff success? To be fair, I don't see Ja Morant or the Grizzlies. I mean, really, I'd be shocked if they even if they do make it to the first round, if they end up advancing. That'd be a big shocker. So people are saying like, I'm just going to wait. I'm in no rush on these type of guys. And hearing more, content creators I respect, ride the wave, right? That's what people are saying. And that's one of the pillars of sports card investing, 100%. That's something you have to do. That's something you can use to your advantage. But at the same time, if anyone's ever actually been surfing, what happens when everyone tries to get onto the same wave and ride the same wave? You all crash. It doesn't go well. And we've already seen it a little bit in football. Everyone had a perception of how the market was going to go in the off season, and then things went up way earlier than they were supposed to. The market didn't come down as far as they thought it would after the season. And I'm not a football card expert, so I won't go too deep into it. But it's just a reminder. I'm not saying don't ride the wave, because that's in general the way to do it. But I'm just saying, don't be so sure. That's just something I'm keeping in mind when I see a price that I feel comfortable with on a guy I want to invest in. Maybe I don't have to time it exactly how it would have been historically, because things are changing and a lot of people have a similar mindset. Might want to switch it up. And last thing on Morant, a lot has been made of the overproduction of cards and products for his draft class and the current one. And I would say it's a good and a bad thing. Bad because there's definitely overpopulation, especially with stuff like his Prism. But especially right now, I see stuff all the time slip through the cracks on eBay. There are so many different numbered cards because there's so many different products and so many different variations. If you are patient with a lot of these guys, especially if you're willing to take a chance on a raw or maybe like a PSA 9 or stuff like that, I've seen some major deals. So I'd imagine right now with Ja Morant, like I said, people might just be waiting. Okay, I'm going to buy Ja Morant in the offseason. I'm not worried about him right now. And these opportunities are coming by right now. So if it's a price you feel comfortable with, I think Ja Morant would be a great buy low opportunity right now. Next one, Jimmy Butler. Once again, a guy who was really, really hot in the bubble last year, but now I don't think many people are talking about Jimmy Butler, and his card prices have definitely reflected that. He was as high as over $350 during the peak of the Heat's playoff run last year, and now you can find his Prism PSA 9 rookie for under $200. I think people are kind of forgetting the type of team the Heat are. They definitely struggled this year. I would have expected more from them even in the regular season, but they are a playoff team. They're a team that's built to win, that show up for the big moments, and I would not be surprised at all to see that come playoff time. They're 6th in the East right now. Would not be surprised at all to see them go to 5th, or who knows, maybe even 4th, and having themselves, an opportunity where they're playing a team that they could beat in the first round. And you think about that Oladipo acquisition, I think that was huge. You just think about all the talent they have: Butler, Oladipo, Bam, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, Iguodala, even Precious Achiuwa, some of these other guys. They have enough talent to get it done. They have some winners. They got some fighters on that team. So I would not be surprised at all to see them turn it around. And with the card I brought up, Jimmy Butler Prism PSA 9, you can find a way to pick this up for under $200, $190. What's really your downside? Maybe that goes to 140, 135, something like that in the off season. I'm by no means a crystal ball magician. You never know exactly what's going to happen, but I don't see it dipping much further than that. The Heat will continue to be contenders, and Jimmy Butler is one of the best players in the league right now. But your upside, if the Heat start playing well again, or even just the thought that they might, relatively low pop card, I think there's a chance that you could kind of quick flip Jimmy Butler, see what happens. At the very least, it'll give you a chance to root for a fun, exciting player and a fun, exciting team. Next one, RJ Barrett, a guy who struggled kind of more towards the beginning of the season, but he's actually been playing pretty well lately, and I don't think anyone's noticed. In his last 2 games, 29 points, 22, and more surprisingly than that, he's actually been pretty efficient, shooting a combined 63% from the field in those past 2 games. So it's not just, okay, maybe it is still somewhat empty numbers, the team's not great, but it's efficient. He's not just completely just chucking up shots up there. And the Knicks are another team. For as much as we like to joke about the Knicks, they're 1 game off 500 right now. They're in 8th place. Would not be surprised at all to see them in the play-in game, or maybe even getting, a guaranteed spot. And at the bottom of the East, there's not too many teams that I'm absolutely afraid of. So you never know. You got Julius Randle, but RJ Barrett could be that scorer for the Knicks, have a moment. Once again, the title of this video is not the best buys in the world. I still think guys like Giannis, AD, Kawhi are easy. You might even think about a Luka, or these are guys who I think are relatively low risk that you're buying the dip. You're buying cheap. So trust me, every criticism of RJ Barrett and the Knicks, I know it. I'm probably with you, but I think once again, things have gone so far off that your risk is relatively low, and you could see him have a moment and people change their perception on RJ Barrett, and maybe he does have, a future in the league as, I won't say a star, but maybe let's say all-star. I think he could get to that. And once again, it's even more so than Ja Morant, where there's so many different numbered RJ Barrett cards out there that so many slip through the crack on eBay, especially with some of this more lower end stuff. This is a lot of stuff I do, especially more when I was starting out. Just shoot your shot in a sense. Shoot your shots, put a bid in. You might get lucky or 1 or 2 of these. And once again, if RJ Barrett has a moment, that's easy. You all of a sudden have a rare numbered card that's actually pretty desirable. And last but not least, if you thought RJ Barrett was a shot in the dark, this one is definitely a shot in the dark. But Dante DiVincenzo, he scored 22 points in his last game. And a guy who, if you look at his chart, has come down a ton. Silver Prism PSA 10 is $100 right now. Once again, I feel the same way. What will that get down to? Maybe $80, maybe as low as 75. I can live with that if that happens. If I buy the card and that happens, but I also think there's a potential for some upside there. The Bucks need scoring help. Giannis is definitely going to carry most of the load. Chris Middleton is a good player, but he's not the biggest creator. Dante DiVincenzo, we've obviously seen what he can do. I mean, this isn't the best comparison, but at Villanova, it means something. He's a big-time player. He shows up in big-time situations. I would never advocate for a long-term hold on Dante DiVincenzo, but once again, getting back to the theme of the video, potential buy lows. A little bit of a roll of the dice. Cheap, if you look at the chart. I think it's worth a try. He's a guy who, once again, could have a moment in the playoffs here. But all right, guys, that's it. Those were just my picks. I hope you enjoyed. Definitely let me know down below. Who are your kind of more under the radar type guys? We all know about Anthony Davis, Kawhi, LeBron, KD to an extent. What about these other people? Who's going to come out of nowhere and have a moment in the playoffs? But if you did like the video, please like and subscribe down below, and we're going to keep the videos coming. Thanks again.